No man will want you. You're used up. Denise's coffee cup slipped from her fingers, shattered against Italian marble. Brown liquid spread like a stain she'd never scrub out. Victor didn't even look up from his phone. She stood frozen in the kitchen, her kitchen, or so she believed for 12 years, while the man she'd built her life around dismissed her existence with the casualness of someone discussing trash pickup. What? Her voice came out smaller than she meant it to. Smaller than the woman she used to be. He scrolled. Casual. Like he'd just mentioned the weather. I want a divorce. The papers are on the table. Christina's moving in this weekend. The floor tilted. Denise gripped the counter. That's... Victor, we can talk about this. 12 years. 12 years of what, Denise? He finally lifted his eyes. Cold, flat, indifferent. You used to have fire. Intelligence. Now you're just there. Filling space. His gaze traveled over her like she was furniture he'd grown tired of. You're 38. No career because you quit to play housewife. No friends because you pushed them all away trying to please me. Nothing that's actually yours. Behind him, the bedroom door opened. Christina Vance emerged, blonde, 29, wearing Denise's silk robe. The one Denise's mother saved 3 months to buy her for their 10th anniversary. Morning, Christina said brightly, reaching past Denise for a coffee mug like she'd done it 1,000 times. Denise's hands started shaking. Victor, please. We can. He laughed. It was the sound of something beautiful being crushed underfoot. He stepped closer. His voice dropped to something intimate and devastating. No man will want you now. You're used up. Christina smirked from across the kitchen. She looks confused. Did she really think she was permanent? Victor checked his watch. Rolex. The one Denise bought him for their 5th anniversary, working overtime at the nonprofit to afford it. Be out by noon. Security will escort you if you're not. Denise opened her mouth. Nothing came out. She looked around the home she'd decorated. The marble she'd chosen. The curtains she'd sewn by hand because Victor said custom was wasteful. None of it had ever been hers. Victor, please. Don't. His voice went sharp. Cold. Don't beg. It's pathetic. He grabbed his keys. Oh, and Denise. Those estate planning documents you signed 4 years ago? The ones I said would protect you? He smiled. You signed away your rights to everything. The house. The accounts. The business assets. He paused at the door. You really should have read them. Aren't you supposed to be a lawyer? The door closed. Christina poured herself coffee, Denise's coffee, from Denise's machine, in Denise's kitchen, and hummed softly. You should probably get moving, she said without looking up. Movers are coming at 1 to bring my stuff in. It'll be awkward if you're still here. Denise picked up the suitcase someone had packed for her. Victor's assistant, probably. Every piece of clothing chosen to remind her she was leaving with nothing. She walked to the door on legs that didn't feel attached to her body. At the threshold, Christina called out. Oh, and Denise? That thing Victor said about you being used up? She laughed. He's right. I mean, look at you. The door locked behind her. Denise stood in the driveway of a house she'd lived in for 10 years, holding a suitcase, possessing nothing. She had one place to go. If you're still reading this, you're different. Most people already clicked away. They saw the title, got uncomfortable, moved on to something easier. But you stayed. That says something about you. People like you subscribe. People who don't look away when stories get hard. So here's my question. Why haven't you? Gloria Tanner heard the knock and knew. Mothers always know. She opened the door to find her daughter, mascara streaked, trembling, suitcase gripped in white-knuckled hands. Baby. Gloria's heart seized. What happened? Denise's face crumpled. He threw me out, Mama. The words broke on sobs. He threw me out for someone younger. He said no man would ever want me. That I'm used up. That I'm nothing. Gloria pulled her daughter inside, arms tight, jaw tighter. She knew those words. 32 years ago, Denise's father had said the same thing before he walked out. Left Gloria with a 6-year-old and 2 jobs and a mortgage she could barely cover. You're damaged goods, Gloria. No man's gonna want a single mother with nothing to offer. Gloria had survived those words, built a life despite them. But hearing them said to her child, her brilliant, kind, beautiful child, ignited something Gloria thought had burned out years ago. Rage. Pure, focused, patient. She guided Denise to the couch, made tea neither of them would drink, let her daughter cry until the tears ran dry. That night, after Denise finally slept, Gloria sat at her small kitchen table. Her lupus medication was spread in front of her. Pills that kept her alive but couldn't cure her. Pills that bought her maybe 5 years. Maybe less. Her hands trembled as she opened her laptop. Victor Hartwell's face smiled from his company website. Confident, powerful, untouchable. Gloria's fingers, still quick despite the illness, began to type. She pulled up property records, business filings, tax documents, all public information, but most people didn't know how to read them. Gloria did. She'd spent 34 years as a forensic accountant before lupus slowed her down. She knew how to read balance sheets, how to find what men tried to hide. And she knew something Victor didn't. Powerful men got sloppy. They believed their money made them invisible. But money left trails, and trails led to truth. She opened a blank document and titled it, Evidence, Hartwell. Then she began making a list. Every business associate Victor had ever mentioned. Every contractor Denise had complained about him mistreating. Every employee she'd heard him threaten over the years. People who might talk. People who might have kept receipts. People who might want revenge of their own. Gloria worked until 3 a.m., fingers flying across keys, lupus pain forgotten in the clarity of purpose. She saved the document, took her medication, went to bed. In the darkness, her voice was a whisper. You made a mistake, Mr. Hartwell. Her eyes burned with something more dangerous than anger. You hurt my child. She closed her eyes, but sleep didn't come. Instead, she lay awake planning. Calculating, remembering everything she'd ever learned about finding truth in numbers. Victor Hartwell thought he'd won. He thought Denise would disappear quietly, broken, ashamed, silent. He didn't know he'd just made an enemy of a dying woman with nothing left to lose. And he definitely didn't know that dying woman had spent 3 decades learning exactly how to destroy men like him. What was Victor's biggest mistake? Underestimating a dying woman with nothing left to lose. Gloria woke at 5:30 a.m., same time she'd woken every day for 40 years. Lupus didn't care about sleep. Her joints ached before her eyes opened. The morning stiffness made her fingers curl like claws until the medication kicked in. She took her pills with cold coffee left from yesterday. Couldn't afford to waste anything. Through the thin wall, she heard Denise crying in her sleep. Gloria's jaw tightened. She opened her laptop and continued where she'd left off. Flashback, Gloria's past, 1995. Gloria Tanner learned numbers before she learned to read. Growing up in rural Georgia, she watched her mother count coins every Sunday night, trying to stretch $5 across 7 days. Watched her father gamble away paychecks while her mother smiled and said it'd be okay. It was never okay. At 14, Gloria swore she'd never be broke, never be powerless, never be dependent on a man who could take everything with one bad decision. She put herself through community college working nights at a diner, then university, then accounting certification. She became a forensic accountant at 26, one of 3 black women in her firm. She was good, better than good. She could look at a spreadsheet and see lies like most people saw typos. Then she met Richard Bennett, handsome, charming, ambitious. He promised partnership, respect, a life where she wouldn't have to fight so hard. He promised partnership, respect, a life where she wouldn't have to fight so hard. She believed him. For 15 years, she believed him. Until the day he told her she was damaged goods and walked out, leaving her with 6-year-old Denise and nothing else. Gloria rebuilt alone, raised Denise alone, survived alone. She'd sworn her daughter would never know that pain. But here they were. Present day, Gloria's kitchen. Denise emerged around 9, eyes swollen, moving like someone recovering from a car crash. Morning, baby. Gloria slid a plate across the counter. Scrambled eggs. Toast. The breakfast Denise loved as a child. Denise stared at it. Didn't pick up the fork. I can't eat, Mama. You can. And you will. Gloria's voice was firm but gentle. Your body needs fuel. Your mind needs clarity. You can't fight on empty. Fight. Denise laughed bitterly. Mama, there's nothing to fight. He took everything. The house. The money. The lawyers. He made sure I signed documents I didn't understand. I gave away my own protection. She finally looked up. Her eyes were hollow. He planned this, Mama. For years. While I was trying to be a good wife, he was building a cage I didn't see until it locked. Gloria sat down across from her, reached across the table, took her daughter's hands. Then we build something he doesn't see coming. Denise pulled her hands back. With what? I have $300 in my checking account. That's it. Everything else was joint, and he froze it the day I left. You have something better than money. What? Gloria's eyes were steady, burning with something Denise hadn't seen in years. You have me, and I have 34 years of knowing how to find what rich men try to hide. Denise shook her head. Mama, you're sick. You need to rest, not. Don't. Gloria's voice cut sharp. Don't you dare tell me what I need. She stood, walked to the window, looked out at the street where she'd lived for 20 years, the neighborhood Victor wouldn't drive through without locking his doors. I have lupus. Stage 3. Kidneys are failing. She said it calmly. Clinically, doctors say I have 5 years. Maybe 3. Maybe less if I'm not careful. Denise's face went white. Mama, you never. Why didn't you tell me? Because I didn't want you to worry. You had your own life, your own marriage. Gloria turned back. But now that marriage is over, and I'm still here, and I'm going to use whatever time I have left to make sure Victor Hartwell regrets every single word he said to you. She sat back down, pulled the laptop toward her. Victor thinks he's untouchable. Men like him always do. They believe money makes them invisible. She turned the screen so Denise could see. A spreadsheet. Property addresses. Purchase dates. Sale prices. Mortgage amounts. But money leaves trails, baby. And trails lead to truth. Denise stared at the screen. Her legal training, dormant for years, started waking up. What am I looking at? Victor's real estate empire. Every property he's bought and sold in the last 20 years. Gloria pointed to a highlighted row. This one was purchased for $2 million. Sold 6 months later for $8 million. That's a huge profit. Too huge. No property appreciates that fast without improvements. Which means either the purchase price was artificially low, or the sale price was artificially high, Denise finished. Her voice was stronger now. Bank fraud. Inflated appraisals to justify loans. Exactly. Gloria clicked to another tab. And this is just one property. I found 12 transactions with the same pattern. Denise leaned closer. Numbers were starting to make sense. The fog in her brain was clearing. How did you get all this? Public records. Property deeds. Tax assessments. All legal. All available to anyone who knows where to look. Gloria's smile was thin. Most people don't bother. But I spent 3 decades doing this for a living. She opened another file. This is a list of every contractor who's worked on Victor's developments. I'm going to contact every single one. People he cheated. People he didn't pay. People he threatened. Why would they talk to you? Because people love telling the truth when they know someone will finally listen. Gloria's eyes glinted. And because I'm going to offer them something Victor never did. What? Justice. Denise looked at her mother. This woman who'd worked 3 jobs to raise her, who'd sacrificed everything, who was now dying and still fighting. Mama, this could take months. Years. You don't have. I have enough time. Gloria's voice was steel, and I'm going to use every second of it. She reached across the table again. This time, Denise didn't pull away. He called you used up. He tried to make you believe you were nothing. Gloria's voice broke slightly. And I will burn his empire to ash before I let those words become your truth. She squeezed her daughter's hands. You are not nothing, baby. You never were. And I'm going to make sure he knows exactly what he lost. That night, Denise couldn't sleep. She lay on the couch, staring at the ceiling, her mother's words echoing. You are not nothing. She hadn't heard those words in so long, hadn't believed them in longer. Victor had spent 12 years slowly convincing her she was less smart, less valuable, less worth loving. She'd started to believe it. But watching her mother, sick, exhausted, dying, build a case against a billionaire with nothing but a laptop and righteous fury, something shifted in Denise's chest. Something that felt like hope, or rage, or both. She sat up, walked to the kitchen where Gloria was still working at 2 a.m. "Teach me," Denise said. Gloria looked up, smiled. "Sit down, counselor. Let's go to work." For 3 weeks, Gloria and Denise worked in silence. They built spreadsheets, cross-referenced documents, tracked money through companies with generic names designed to disappear. Denise's legal mind, rusty from years of disuse, started sharpening. She saw patterns, discrepancies, transactions that didn't make sense unless you understood they were designed not to. "Here," she said one morning, pointing at a wire transfer. "This property was appraised at $14 million for the bank loan, but the tax assessment shows $6 million. That's fraud," Gloria finished. "Bank fraud and tax evasion in one transaction." Denise kept scrolling. Her hands were steadier now, her voice stronger. "He's been doing this for years." 20 years, Gloria corrected. "I found records going back to 2004. Denise looked at her mother. "How did no one catch this?" "People did. They got paid to look the other way, or threatened into silence." Gloria opened another file. "Emails. Dozens of them. I've been reaching out to people Victor screwed over. Former employees, contractors, accountants. Have any responded?" 8 so far. 5 sent documentation." Gloria's smile was cold. "Turns out, people love revenge almost as much as I do." Denise leaned back, the weight of it settling over her. "If we take this public, he'll destroy us. He has lawyers, resources. He'll bury us in motions and delays and—" Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. "Hello." A professional voice. Male. Calm. "Miss Hartwell? This is Officer Reynolds with County General Hospital." Denise's blood went cold. "I'm calling about your mother, Gloria Tanner." The room tilted. "What happened? Is she okay?" Gloria looked up sharply from across the table. "Ma'am, I'm very sorry to inform you that your mother was involved in a serious automobile accident this afternoon." The voice was steady, practiced. "She didn't survive. We need you to come to the hospital to identify." Denise's phone slipped from her hand. She screamed, a sound that came from somewhere animal, somewhere beyond words. Gloria jumped up. "Denise? Denise, what's wrong?" But Denise couldn't hear her, couldn't see her, could only hear the voice saying "didn't survive" and feel the world collapsing. She dropped to the floor, sobbing, gasping, clawing at her chest like she could pull the pain out. "Baby, look at me." Gloria grabbed her daughter's face. "I'm right here. I'm right here." But Denise was hyperventilating, shaking, her vision tunneling. Gloria snatched the phone from the floor. "This is Gloria Tanner. Who the hell is this?" Silence. Then a click. Disconnected. It took 20 minutes for Denise to breathe normally, 30 minutes to speak, an hour to understand what happened. Gloria called County General. No accident. No Gloria Tanner in the system. No Officer Reynolds on staff. They called the number back. Disconnected. Prepaid phone. Untraceable. Someone had called Denise and told her that her mother was dead. Just to hurt her. Just to watch her break. Denise sat on the bathroom floor, arms wrapped around her knees, rocking. "He did this," she whispered. "Victor did this." Gloria knelt beside her, joints screaming in protest, but she didn't care. "We don't know that for sure." "Yes, we do." Denise looked up. Her eyes were red but blazing. "This is what he does, Mama. He doesn't just win. He destroys. He needs people broken, silent, erased." She stood, walked back to the kitchen, stared at the evidence spread across the table. "He threw me out, took my credibility with those lies about my mental health. And that still wasn't enough." Her voice was shaking but hard. "He wanted me to feel you dying. He wanted me to experience that grief, that loss, that complete destruction." Gloria watched her daughter transform. The broken woman who'd arrived 3 weeks ago was disappearing. Something sharper was taking her place. "Mama," Denise said quietly, "I'm done hiding. I'm done being careful." She turned. "Teach me everything. Every transaction. Every crime. Every lie." Her hands balled into fists. "I'm going to take everything from him. His money. His freedom. His reputation. His son." Gloria stepped forward, took her daughter's face in her hands. "Are you sure? Once we start this, we can't stop. He'll come at us with everything." "Good." Denise's smile was cold. Sharp. Let him come. That night, Denise made a list. Not evidence. Not legal strategy. A list of every moment Victor made her feel small. Every time he corrected her in public. Every time he dismissed her opinions. Every time he made her believe she was lucky he tolerated her. Every time he said, "You're not smart enough to understand this." Every time he said, "You're embarrassing me." Every time he said, "You should be grateful." The list filled 3 pages. She read it once. Let the rage settle into her bones. Then she burned it in the kitchen sink. Not because she forgave, because she didn't need reminders anymore. 2 days later, the letter came. Victor's lawyer. Cold. Professional. Devastating. Custody hearing scheduled for Thursday, 9 a.m. Due to concerns regarding mother's mental stability and recent erratic behavior, petitioner requests supervised visitation only, pending full psychological evaluation. Denise read it 3 times before the words made sense. "He's taking Marcus," she whispered. Gloria looked up from her laptop. "What?" "Custody hearing. He's claiming I'm mentally unstable. He's going to argue for supervised visitation only." Her voice cracked. "He's using the fake death call. He's going to say my reaction proves I'm unstable." She started shaking. "Mama, what if I lose him? What if Marcus grows up believing I'm crazy? What if I never?" "Stop." Gloria's voice cut through the spiral. "Stop right now." She walked over, gripped her daughter's shoulders. "Victor made a mistake. He thinks this will break you. He thinks you'll crumble and beg and disappear." She leaned closer. "But he just gave us something we needed." "What?" Gloria's eyes burned. "Proof that he's willing to weaponize your child. Proof that he's cruel enough to fake a death and then use your grief against you in court." She pulled out her phone. "I know someone. Dr. Patricia Owens. Best forensic psychiatrist in the state. She specializes in cases where mental health accusations are weaponized. Will she see me?" "She will when I tell her what Victor did." Gloria dialed. "Put it on speaker." A woman's voice answered. Professional. Warm. "Dr. Owens." "Patricia, it's Gloria Tanner. Remember me from the Davidson case in 2008. "Gloria? My God, it's been years. How are you?" "Dying. Lupus. But that's not why I'm calling." Gloria's voice was steady. "My daughter's ex-husband just faked my death to psychologically torture her. Now he's using her reaction to argue she's mentally unstable and unfit for custody." Silence. "Then, when can she come in? You've come this far. You've watched Victor destroy Denise piece by piece. If this rage feels familiar, if you've ever felt powerless while someone cruel held all the cards, subscribe. Some stories don't just entertain. They fight back. Stay with us." Gloria made her first call at 6 a.m. "Mr. Davis? This is Gloria Tanner. We met at the Financial Literacy Conference in 2009. You gave a presentation on forensic auditing of commercial developments." Silence on the other end. Then, "I remember. What can I do for you, Ms. Tanner?" "I'm building a case against Victor Hartwell, real estate developer. I believe you worked on one of his projects in 2011, the Riverside Commons development." A sharp intake of breath. "I can't talk about that. I signed an NDA. I'm not asking you to break it. I'm asking you to confirm something. Did Victor falsify property valuations to secure bank financing?" Long pause. "Ms. Tanner, I have a family, a career. If I..." "Mr. Davis, Victor Hartwell threw my daughter out of her home, took her son, and is trying to destroy her completely. I have stage 3 lupus. I don't have time to be careful. I'm asking you to do the right thing." Silence stretched. Then, he inflated appraisals by 40%. Bribed the inspector. "When I reported it to my supervisor, I was fired 3 days later. They said I was creating liability." Gloria's pen moved across paper. "Do you still have documentation?" "I kept everything. Just in case he ever came after me." "He won't. Because he'll be too busy defending himself." "Can you send me copies?" Another pause. "If I do this, will it actually matter? Or will his lawyers bury it like they bury everything?" Gloria's voice was steel wrapped in velvet. "It will matter. I promise you that." The files arrived in her inbox 20 minutes later. By the end of the week, Gloria had contacted 14 people. Former employees, contractors, accountants, city inspectors. 8 of them talked. 5 sent documents. The picture grew sharper with each conversation. Victor had been falsifying financial records since 2004, inflating property values to secure loans he couldn't otherwise qualify for, underreporting income to avoid taxes, paying cash bribes to inspectors who looked the other way. And he'd done it all with the arrogance of a man who believed consequences were for other people. Denise watched her mother work, laptop open at 5 a.m., phone calls until midnight, fingers flying across keyboards despite the tremors. "Mama, you need to rest." "I'll rest when he's in handcuffs." "You're going to make yourself sicker." Gloria looked up. Her eyes were tired but blazing. "Baby, I'm dying anyway. I'd rather die doing something that matters than live quietly doing nothing." She went back to typing. Denise felt something crack open in her chest. Not breaking, opening. Her mother was dying. And instead of resting, instead of traveling or spending time with friends or enjoying her final years, she was going to war for her daughter. Denise sat down at the table, pulled the laptop toward her. "Show me what you need help with." Gloria smiled. 3 weeks after the divorce, Victor hosted an engagement party. 300 guests. Downtown penthouse. Champagne fountains. A string quartet playing in the corner. Denise wasn't invited. She didn't expect to be. But at 8 p.m., Gloria's phone buzzed. A text from an old friend. "Turn on the live stream." "I'm so sorry." Gloria's stomach dropped. She opened the link. Denise looked over her shoulder. Victor stood at the center of the room, champagne glass raised. Christina glowing beside him in a dress that cost more than Gloria's monthly rent. "Many of you knew my first wife, Denise," Victor began. His voice was smooth, practiced, sympathetic. Gloria felt Denise go rigid beside her. "I've remained silent out of respect for her privacy. But recent events have forced my hand, and I feel I owe you all an explanation." He paused, dabbed his eye with a handkerchief. The performance was flawless. Denise has struggled with severe mental health issues for years. Paranoid delusions, erratic behavior. She became convinced I was hiding assets from her, that I was conspiring against her with staff members. Murmurs of sympathy rippled through the crowd. She threatened employees. She made wild accusations. His voice broke convincingly. She even became physically violent toward me on several occasions. Christina squeezed his arm. The picture of supportive concern. I tried to get her help. I paid for the best psychiatrists in the state. But she refused treatment. When her behavior escalated to the point where I feared for my safety, I had no choice but to ask her to leave. He lifted his glass. "I share this not for pity, but for your understanding. If Denise contacts any of you with stories or accusations, please know, these are the delusions of a very sick woman who desperately needs help." Applause. 300 people applauding Victor's compassion. Denise's phone started buzzing immediately. Text after text. "I had no idea you were struggling. Please get help. We're here if you need support. Sending prayers for your recovery." A former colleague from her nonprofit days. "I always knew something was off. I hope you find peace." Denise watched her reputation evaporate in real time. Her LinkedIn connections started disappearing. Professional contacts went silent. Friends she'd known for a decade suddenly stopped responding. Victor hadn't just divorced her. He'd preemptively destroyed her credibility so thoroughly that no one would ever believe her side. She set her phone down. Her hands were shaking. "He won," she whispered. "Mama, he won. No one will ever believe me now." Gloria closed the laptop, took her daughter's hands. "Baby, listen to me. He thinks he won because he spoke first. He thinks controlling the narrative means controlling the truth." She leaned closer. "But truth doesn't care about timing. Truth is patient. And so are we. How do we fight this? I have no credibility anymore. I'm the crazy ex-wife." "We don't fight loud," Gloria said quietly. "We fight smart. We document everything. We build evidence they can't dismiss. We wait for the right moment." She squeezed Denise's hands. "He just made his first real mistake." "What mistake?" "He destroyed me." Gloria's smile was cold, sharp. "He lied on a live stream watched by 300 witnesses. He made specific claims about your mental health. Claims that can be disproven. Claims that, when exposed as false, will make everything else he's ever said suspect." She stood, walked to her laptop. We're going to get you a full psychological evaluation. Independent. Thorough. From the best psychiatrist in the state. Why? Because when it shows you're perfectly sane, when it proves Victor lied to 300 people about your mental health, his whole house of cards starts to collapse. Gloria pulled up a contact. Dr. Patricia Owens already agreed to see you. She evaluates people for free when she suspects mental health is being weaponized. She turned the screen. She's seen this pattern before. Powerful men who destroy women's credibility as preemptive strikes. She hates it. Gloria's eyes glinted. And she keeps meticulous records that courts can't ignore. The evaluation took 3 days. Dr. Patricia Owens was thorough, clinical, kind. She asked Denise about her marriage, her childhood, her relationship with her mother, her feelings about Victor, Christina, Marcus. She administered tests, reviewed medical history, interviewed Gloria separately. At the end of day 3, Dr. Owens sat across from Denise in her quiet office. You're not mentally ill, Miss Hartwell. You're traumatized. There's a significant difference. Denise's throat tightened. You've experienced sustained emotional abuse for at least a decade. Your ex-husband engaged in classic patterns of coercive control, isolating you from friends, controlling finances, undermining your professional confidence, rewriting reality until you questioned your own perceptions. Dr. Owens leaned forward. What you're experiencing now is acute stress and grief. That's normal. That's healthy. You're not delusional. You're not erratic. You're responding exactly as any reasonable person would to betrayal and loss. She handed Denise a sealed envelope. This is my full report. It states clearly that Victor's claims are false, that you pose no danger to yourself or others, that you are fully competent as a mother. Denise took the envelope with shaking hands. Will this help me get Marcus back? It's a start. But custody battles aren't just about evidence. They're about power. And your ex-husband has a lot of it. Dr. Owens paused. However, I've also documented a pattern of parental alienation. If we can prove Victor is deliberately damaging your relationship with your son for his own purposes, that changes everything. That night, Denise sat at Gloria's kitchen table, reading the evaluation. Every page was vindication. No evidence of paranoid delusions. No indicators of violent behavior. Strong maternal bond. Appropriate emotional responses. Subject displays resilience and rational thinking despite extraordinary stressors. She looked up at her mother. This proves he lied. In writing. From an expert witness no lawyer can discredit. But how do we use it without looking like we're fighting back? He'll say I'm being vindictive. Gloria smiled. We don't use it yet. We hold it. We let him keep talking. Let him tell more lies. Let him get comfortable in his narrative. She pulled out her phone, showed Denise a new spreadsheet. I've been tracking every public statement he's made about you. Every interview. Every social media post. Every conversation someone's been willing to document. The list was long. He's told 17 different lies in 3 weeks. He can't keep his story straight because he's not worried about truth. He's worried about image. Gloria's eyes glinted. Eventually, he'll contradict himself. And when he does, we'll have documentation of every lie he's ever told. She closed the laptop. And then, baby, we won't just prove he's wrong. We'll prove he's a liar. And once people know he lied about you, they'll wonder what else he's lying about, Denise finished. Exactly. For the first time in weeks, Denise felt something besides despair. She felt hope. Dangerous, fragile, terrifying hope. Somewhere in the city, a woman scrolled through her phone, maybe feeling this exact same desperation. Maybe wondering if anyone else understood what it felt like to be erased by someone who promised to love you forever. The custody hearing was scheduled for a Thursday morning. Denise wore the only professional suit she still owned, the one she'd bought 8 years ago for a nonprofit fundraiser. It was slightly too big now. She'd lost weight. Victor arrived with 3 lawyers. Christina sat in the gallery, designer sunglasses perched on her head, scrolling through her phone. Gloria sat behind Denise. Silent. Steady. The judge, a white man in his late 50s, reviewed the files with an expression Denise couldn't read. Victor's lead attorney stood. Tall. Confident. Expensive. Your Honor, We're here today because Ms. Hartwell's recent behavior has raised serious concerns about her fitness as a parent. Denise's hands clenched under the table. My client has documented evidence of mental instability, erratic behavior, and concerning statements that suggest Ms. Hartwell may pose a risk to the minor child. What evidence? The judge asked. The attorney presented a folder. Text messages where Ms. Hartwell expresses suicidal ideation. Witness testimony from household staff describing volatile outbursts. A documented incident where Ms. Hartwell showed up at my client's residence unannounced and had to be escorted away by security. Denise's lawyer, a young public defender named Sarah Kim, who was doing her best with no resources, stood quickly. Your Honor, those texts were taken out of context. Ms. Hartwell was expressing grief, not intent. The unannounced visit was a mother trying to see her son after he missed 2 scheduled calls. And the so-called witness testimony comes from employees who are financially dependent on Mr. Hartwell. The judge looked unimpressed. Ms. Kim, does your client have any expert testimony regarding her mental health? Sarah hesitated. We have it right here, Your Honor. Gloria stood, walked to the front, handed the judge Dr. Owen's report. This is a comprehensive psychological evaluation conducted by Dr. Patricia Owens, one of the most respected forensic psychiatrists in the state. It concludes that Ms. Hartwell poses no danger to herself or her child. It also documents a pattern of emotional abuse and parental alienation orchestrated by Mr. Hartwell. Victor's lawyer moved fast. Your Honor, this is highly irregular. Ms. Tanner is not an attorney and has no standing in these proceedings. Ms. Tanner is the maternal grandmother, the judge interrupted. She has every right to provide relevant documentation. He read the report in silence. The courtroom held its breath. Finally, the judge looked up. I'm ordering a temporary reinstatement of supervised visitation. 2 hours per week, court-approved facility. We'll reconvene in 60 days for a full custody evaluation. Denise's chest loosened for the first time in weeks. Victor's face went dark. As they left the courtroom, Victor's lawyer cornered Gloria in the hallway. That was a mistake, Ms. Tanner. Gloria looked at him calmly. Which part? Providing evidence? Or proving your client lied? The lawyer leaned closer. You have no idea who you're dealing with. I know exactly who I'm dealing with, Gloria said quietly. A man who thinks money makes him untouchable. A man who's about to learn he's wrong. She walked away. The first visit. The supervised visitation facility was sterile. White walls. Plastic chairs. A monitor who sat in the corner taking notes. Marcus Jr. entered hesitantly. He was 8 years old. Small for his age. He had his mother's eyes. Hi, baby, Denise whispered. He ran to her. She held him like she'd never let go. I missed you so much, she said into his hair. I missed you too, Mama. His voice was small. Scared. Daddy said you were sick. That you couldn't see me because you needed to get better. Denise's jaw tightened. She forced her voice to stay gentle. I'm not sick, sweetheart. I'm just sad sometimes. Because I miss you. Daddy says you might not get better. Denise pulled back, looked into her son's eyes. Baby, listen to me. I am never going to stop fighting to be with you. Never. No matter what anyone says. Marcus nodded, but his eyes were uncertain. They spent 2 hours reading books, playing games, talking about school. When the time was up, Marcus hugged her tight. I love you, Mama. I love you more than anything in the world. He left with the court escort. Denise sat in the empty room and cried until the monitor gently told her it was time to go. 2 weeks later, Victor's lawyer sent a letter. Due to concerning statements made by the minor child following recent visitation, Mr. Hartwell is petitioning for immediate suspension of all contact pending further psychological evaluation. Denise read it 3 times. What statements? What did Marcus say? Gloria called the facility. They wouldn't tell her. She called Dr. Owens. She hadn't been contacted. She called Sarah Kim. The lawyer sounded exhausted. They're claiming Marcus came home distressed after the visit. That you said things that confused him. They're filing an emergency motion. I didn't say anything except that I love him. I know, but they have 3 affidavits from household staff claiming Marcus had nightmares and asked questions about why Mommy left. Denise felt the walls closing in. This is insane. They're twisting everything. I know, but the burden of proof is on us now. And we don't have the resources to fight an emergency motion filed by 3 lawyers. The call ended. Denise looked at Gloria. He's going to take Marcus completely. I know it. Gloria's hands were shaking. From lupus or rage, Denise couldn't tell. Then we stopped playing defense, Gloria said quietly. What? We've been reacting to Victor. Defending. Proving we're not what he says. She stood. We need to go on offense. How? Gloria pulled out her phone. Dialed a number. Catherine? It's Gloria Tanner. Are you still interested in that story I mentioned? A pause. Good. Because I'm ready to talk. And I have documentation you won't believe. She hung up. Denise stared at her mother. What did you just do? I just declared war. Catherine Holt was a journalist who'd built her career on exposing powerful men. She met Gloria and Denise at a coffee shop in a neighborhood Victor would never visit. Tell me everything, Catherine said, recorder on the table. Gloria did. She laid out 20 years of financial fraud, tax evasion, falsified documents, bribed inspectors, shell companies, offshore accounts. She showed emails, contracts, wire transfers, testimony from 8 former employees. Catherine's eyes went wide. Jesus, this is federal. I know. If even half of this is true, he's looking at serious prison time. It's all true. I verified every transaction. Catherine looked at Denise. And you had no idea? Denise's voice was quiet. Ashamed. I trusted him. He told me the documents I signed were estate planning, insurance paperwork. I was a lawyer, and I didn't even read them. That's not your fault, Catherine said firmly. That's what abusers do. They exploit trust. She turned back to Gloria. Why come to me? Why not go straight to prosecutors? Because prosecutors can be delayed, tied up in legal motions for years. Victor's lawyers will drag this out until I'm dead. Gloria's voice was steady. But public pressure? A story that goes viral? That's something his lawyers can't stop. Catherine leaned back. If I publish this, he'll come after me. He'll sue for defamation. He'll try to destroy my credibility. He'll try, Gloria agreed. But you've been doing this for 30 years. Your reputation is solid. And besides, she slid a folder across the table. Everything in here is documented. Verifiable. He can't sue you for publishing the truth. Catherine opened the folder. Spent 20 minutes reading in silence. Finally, she looked up. When do you want this published? As soon as possible. Before the next custody hearing. Before he has a chance to take my grandson completely. Catherine nodded slowly. This is going to destroy him. Good, Denise said quietly. It was the first time she'd said it out loud. Good. My mom said I'd never reach 1K subscribers telling stories this raw. She said nobody wants to feel this much. If she's wrong, if stories like this matter to you, subscribe. Help me prove that truth and pain and healing still mean something. The darkest part is coming. The article dropped on a Tuesday morning. Inside the billion-dollar lies of a real estate mogul. Catherine didn't hold back. She detailed everything. The falsified appraisals. The tax evasion totaling $47 million. The bribery. The witness tampering. The money laundering. And she told Denise's story. Denise Hartwell was a successful attorney who gave up her career for a man who promised partnership. When he discarded her for a younger mistress, he launched a campaign to destroy her reputation, her sanity, and her relationship with her son. His mother-in-law, Gloria Tanner, a former forensic accountant now battling terminal lupus, refused to let her daughter be erased. Together, they built the case that may finally bring Victor Hartwell to justice. The article included the engagement party video, Victor's lies about Denise's mental health, Dr. Owen's report proving those lies false. It included the fake death call, the psychological torture, the custody manipulation, and it ended with a question. How many other women has Victor Hartwell destroyed? And how many enablers helped him do it? Within 2 hours, the article had 50,000 shares. By noon, it was trending nationally. Victor's phone exploded. Investors demanded meetings. Business partners issued statements, reviewing their associations. Charity boards announced investigations. Federal prosecutors released a statement. We are aware of the allegations and have opened a preliminary inquiry. Victor's empire began to crack. But Victor didn't crumble. He retaliated. That afternoon, Denise received a certified letter. Emergency custody modification granted. All visitations suspended immediately. Petitioners cited safety concerns based on subject's recent involvement in malicious press campaign. Denise read it twice before the words made sense. He took Marcus, she whispered. Completely. Gloria grabbed the letter. Read it. Her face went pale. This was filed yesterday, before the article even published. What? He knew. Someone tipped him off. He filed this emergency motion preemptively. Denise felt her legs give out. She sat hard on the floor. I can't see him. I can't call him. I can't. Her breath came in gasps. Gloria knelt beside her, joint screaming. But she didn't care. Baby, breathe. Just breathe. I can't, Mama. I can't do this anymore. He wins. He always wins. He hasn't won. Yes, he has. Denise's voice broke. He has my son. He has the lawyers, the money, the judges. He has everything. She curled into herself. And I have nothing. I'm nobody. I'm the crazy ex-wife with a dead-end case and a mother who's dying and a child I'll never see again. The words hung in the air. Gloria felt them like knives. A mother who's dying. It was the first time Denise had said it out loud. Gloria pulled her daughter into her arms and held her while she shook. I'm so tired, Mama, Denise sobbed. I'm so tired of fighting. I just want my son back. I just want this to be over. I know, baby. I know. They sat on the floor of Gloria's tiny apartment, two women who'd lost everything, holding on to each other because there was nothing else left. Outside, the world moved on. Victor posted a statement on social media, lies and desperation from a troubled woman. I will not dignify this with a response. My focus remains on protecting my son. 3,000 people liked it. Christina posted a photo of herself and Marcus at the park. Caption, family time. Blessed. The comments were supportive, loving. Inside Gloria's apartment, Denise lay on the couch in the dark. She didn't eat, didn't speak, barely moved. Gloria watched her daughter disappear into grief and felt her own body failing faster. The lupus was getting worse. Her hands shook constantly now. She was tired in a way sleep couldn't fix. She had maybe 2 years left, maybe less, and she was watching her daughter die inside, while her grandson was being erased from their lives. That night, Gloria sat at the kitchen table at 3 a.m. She stared at the evidence she'd gathered. It was good, solid, devastating, but it wasn't enough. Victor had survived the article. His lawyers were already discrediting Catherine. His PR team was spinning the narrative. And Marcus was gone. Gloria opened her laptop, began searching through financial databases she'd used during her accounting career. Some required credentials she no longer had. Some required institutional access. But she knew people. People who owed her favors from decades ago. She started making calls. The first call went to voicemail. Michael, it's Gloria Tanner. I know it's been 15 years. I need access to commercial property records that aren't public. I'm calling in that favor you owe me from the Patterson case. Call me back. The second call was answered immediately. Gloria? My God. I haven't heard from you since. I need help, Rachel. Financial database access. The kind that requires institutional login. Silence. Gloria, I could lose my license. A man destroyed my daughter and took my grandson. I'm dying. And I'm asking you to help me take everything from him. Another pause. What do you need? By dawn, Gloria had what she needed. Access to databases that tracked wire transfers across state lines. Property ownership records that revealed hidden shell companies. Tax filings that didn't match public statements. She worked through the morning, through her medication time, through the joint pain that made her fingers curl. Denise woke around noon, found her mother still at the laptop. Mama, you haven't slept. I'll sleep when he's in prison. Denise sat down, looked at the screen. Numbers, accounts, transfers that didn't make sense unless you understood they were designed not to. What is this? This is Victor's real financial picture. Not what he tells investors. Not what he files with the IRS. The truth. Gloria pointed to a spreadsheet. He's been moving money offshore for 20 years. To accounts in the Cayman Islands, Bahamas, Switzerland. Funds that should have been reported as taxable income. She opened another file. And this is beautiful. He used investor money from his 2018 development to pay off personal debts. That's fraud. Federal fraud. Denise leaned closer. Her legal training, dormant for so long, was waking up. If you can prove this to prosecutors, I can prove all of it. Wire transfer records, account statements, emails where he instructs his accountant to keep certain transactions off the books. Gloria's eyes burned with something beyond exhaustion. He's going to prison, baby. Not maybe. Not if we're lucky. Definitely. Denise looked at her mother. This woman who should have been resting, who should have been conserving her strength, who was instead working herself to death to save her daughter. How did you get this? These are protected databases. Gloria's smile was thin. I called in every favor I've accumulated in 40 years. I bent rules I used to believe were sacred, and I don't regret a single call. She closed the laptop. I spent my whole life playing by the rules, Denise. Following procedures, trusting systems. And where did it get me? A failed marriage. A dead-end career. Lupus eating my kidneys. Her voice hardened. I'm done trusting systems. The system failed you. The courts failed you. The law failed you. She stood, slowly, painfully. So I'm going to do what the system won't. I'm going to make sure Victor Hartwell loses everything. And I don't care what rules I have to break to do it. Denise felt tears streaming down her face. You're doing this for me. I'm doing this for us. For Marcus. For every woman Victor's ever destroyed. Gloria gripped the table. And I'm doing it because I refuse to die knowing he won. She walked to the window, looked out at the city waking up. I have maybe 2 years left. Maybe less. I'm going to spend every single day making sure he regrets the moment he told my daughter she was used up. Her reflection in the glass was fierce. Unbreakable. He thinks he's untouchable. He's about to learn what happens when you underestimate a dying woman with nothing left to lose. That afternoon, Gloria sent everything to Catherine. The wire transfers, the offshore accounts, the emails, the tax discrepancies. Catherine called back within an hour. Gloria, where did you get this? Does it matter? If this goes to court, chain of custody matters. If you obtained this illegally, then I obtained it illegally. I'm dying anyway. What are they going to do? Arrest a woman with stage 3 lupus. Silence. Catherine, I need you to decide. Are you a journalist who exposes truth? Or are you someone who hides behind procedure while powerful men destroy lives? Catherine exhaled slowly. Send me everything. I'll verify what I can independently. The rest, I'll find a way. Thank you. Gloria, when this is over, you're going to be a hero to a lot of women. Gloria's laugh was bitter. I don't want to be a hero. I just want my grandson back. That night, Denise found her mother asleep at the kitchen table, head resting on her arms. Laptop still open, medication bottles scattered around her. Denise checked her pulse. Still strong, still fighting. She covered her mother with a blanket, closed the laptop gently. On the screen, one final document was open, an email draft. Unsent. Victor, you told my daughter she was used up, that no man would want her, that she was nothing without you. You were wrong about all of it. By the time you read this, you'll have lost everything. Your business, your reputation, your freedom. I want you to know, in those final moments before they take you to prison, that a dying woman with nothing destroyed you. Not because I'm powerful, but because you were sloppy, arrogant, cruel. You forgot that women you dismiss still have teeth. Rot in prison. Gloria. Denise read it twice. Then she pressed send. This is where most people would give up, where the fight feels too big and the enemy too powerful. But Gloria isn't most people, and neither are you. You're still here. If this story is worth finishing, subscribe. The revenge is coming. 3 days after the email went silent, Victor responded. Not to Gloria, not to Denise, to his lawyers, to the press, to anyone who would listen. He called a press conference. Gloria and Denise watched from the apartment as Victor stood before cameras, composed and devastated in equal measure. I've remained silent while these vicious lies circulated, he began. His voice was measured, hurt, but I can no longer stand by while my name, and more importantly, my son's well-being, are dragged through the mud. He looked directly into the camera. These accusations are the desperate inventions of a woman scorned. My ex-wife has enlisted her mother in a campaign of harassment and defamation. They've fabricated documents, manipulated good people into providing false testimony. They've weaponized the media. He paused, let emotion crack his voice. I've done nothing wrong. My businesses are fully compliant. My taxes are filed properly. Every transaction has been reviewed by accountants and attorneys. Christina stood beside him, hand on his arm, the picture of support. I'm cooperating fully with federal investigators because I have nothing to hide. And when this is over, when the truth comes out, I will be vindicated. He straightened his shoulders. In the meantime, I ask for privacy as I protect my son from this campaign of cruelty. Applause from his supporters in the room. The screen cut to a legal analyst. Hartwell makes compelling points. Without hard evidence, these allegations could indeed be defamation. Gloria turned off the TV. He's good, Denise said quietly. He almost sounds believable. Almost. Gloria pulled up her laptop. But he made 3 mistakes in that speech. What mistakes? Gloria opened a file. Click play on a video. It was Victor's engagement party speech from part 4, the one where he destroyed Denise's reputation. In this speech, he said you became physically violent on several occasions. Plural. Multiple times. She clicked to a document. A police report. I pulled every domestic violence report filed in this county for the last 12 years. Your name appears exactly 0 times. His name appears once, when a neighbor called about raised voices. The responding officer noted no evidence of physical altercation. So if you were violent multiple times, where are the police reports? The hospital records? The witness statements from household staff? Gloria's smile was cold. He didn't think anyone would check. He just assumed people would believe him. She opened another file. Mistake number 2. He just claimed he's cooperating fully with federal investigators. But I have an email from his attorney to a business partner dated yesterday, 2 days after the article, telling them to destroy any documents related to the offshore accounts. Denise's eyes widened. That's obstruction of justice. Exactly. And I sent that email to Catherine an hour ago. How did you get his attorney's emails? Gloria's expression didn't change. I called in a favor. Mama, don't ask questions you don't want answered, baby. Denise looked at her mother. This woman who'd spent her whole life following rules, now breaking them without hesitation. What's the 3rd mistake? Gloria pulled up one final document. A bank statement. He said every transaction has been reviewed by accountants and attorneys. But this wire transfer, $3.2 million moved to a Cayman Islands account in 2019, was never reported to the IRS. And according to his own accountant's deposition from a civil case 2 years ago, she highlighted a section. Mr. Hartwell frequently made financial decisions without consulting our firm. When we raised concerns about reporting requirements, he told us to stay in our lane. His own accountant documented that he ignored their advice. Gloria closed the laptop. He just lied 3 times on national television, and I can prove all of it. That afternoon, Catherine published a follow-up article, a point-by-point fact-check. She detailed every discrepancy, every contradiction, every provable falsehood from his press conference. She included the police records showing 0 domestic violence reports, the email about destroying documents, the accountant's deposition. The article concluded, Victor Hartwell is not a victim of defamation. He is a man watching his house of lies collapse, desperately trying to convince the public that the walls were never real. This time, 50 major news outlets picked it up within hours. The narrative shifted. Investors who'd been cautiously supportive began pulling out completely. Business partners issued statements cutting ties. 2 board members resigned from his company citing ethical concerns. Federal prosecutors accelerated their investigation. And in Victor's mansion, something unexpected happened. Marcus Jr. started asking questions. Marcus's rebellion. The boy was 8 years old, but he wasn't stupid. He'd watched his father on TV saying his mother was violent, dangerous, sick. But he remembered his mother. Gentle, careful, always asking if he was okay before worrying about herself. He'd spent 2 hours with her in that sterile room. She'd been sad, yes, but not scary, not violent. She'd been broken, missing him the way he missed her. And now his father was on TV lying. Marcus knew lying. His father had taught him that lying was wrong, that honesty mattered. But his father was lying about his mother. That night, Marcus did something he'd never done before. He recorded his father. The tablet his father gave him had a voice memo function. Marcus had used it for school projects. Now he used it to document truth. He left it recording in his backpack during dinner, during conversations between his father and Christina, during phone calls his father took in the next room, not realizing small boys had good hearing. He didn't know what he'd do with the recordings. He just knew he wanted proof, the way his grandmother Gloria had taught him to keep evidence, because one day he might need it. The stress was killing Gloria faster than the lupus. Denise watched her mother's hands shake worse each day, watched her take more medication, watched her sleep less and work more. "Mama, you need to see your doctor. I'll see him when this is over. You might not make it to when this is over." Gloria looked up from her laptop. Her eyes were tired but still fierce. "Then I'd better work faster." "Mama." "Denise." Gloria's voice softened. "I know what I'm doing. I know what it's costing me." She reached across the table, took her daughter's hand. "I have maybe a year left, maybe 6 months. The lupus is accelerating. The doctor told me last week that my kidney function is dropping faster than expected." Denise's eyes filled with tears. "So why are you doing this? Why not rest? Travel? Enjoy what time you have." Gloria squeezed her hand. "Because this is how I want to spend my time. Fighting for you. Protecting Marcus. Making sure the man who called you used up loses everything." Her voice dropped to something fierce and tender. "I could spend a year in a hospital bed, comfortable and medicated and useless. Or I could spend 6 months burning down an empire and giving you your son back." She smiled. "That's not even a choice, baby. That's a gift." 1 week after Victor's press conference, Gloria's phone rang. Unknown number. "Ms. Tanner? This is Agent Rebecca Foster, FBI. I'm leading the investigation into Victor Hartwell's financial activities." Gloria's pulse quickened. "Yes. I've reviewed the evidence you provided to Catherine Holt. I'd like to discuss your willingness to cooperate as a witness." "I'll cooperate with anything you need." "Good. Because we've subpoenaed Mr. Hartwell's financial records. And what we're finding corroborates everything you documented." Agent Foster paused. "We're building a case for multiple counts of tax evasion, bank fraud, investor fraud, and money laundering. Conservatively, we're looking at 30 years in federal prison." Gloria closed her eyes, felt something loosen in her chest. We'll need 3 months to build an airtight case. Maybe 4. His lawyers are going to fight this hard. I might not have 4 months." Silence on the other end. "Miss Tanner, I've read about your condition. I'm sorry. We'll move as fast as we can." "Thank you. One more thing. We're also investigating the fake death call. That's wire fraud and witness intimidation. If we can prove Mr. Hartwell orchestrated it." "He did. I can prove it." "Then send me everything you have. We're going to make sure he answers for all of it." The call ended. Gloria sat at her kitchen table, hands shaking, tears streaming down her face. Denise rushed over. "Mama, what's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong, baby." Gloria laughed through tears. "Everything's right. The FBI is building a case. 30 years. He's going to prison for 30 years. Denise dropped to her knees beside her mother, held her while she cried. "We did it," Gloria whispered. "We actually did it." That night, Marcus Jr. sent his grandmother an email from his tablet. The subject line was simple: evidence. The email contained 12 voice recordings, conversations between his father and Christina, phone calls with his father's lawyer, discussions about handling the investigation, and one recording that made Gloria's blood run cold. Victor's voice. The fake death call was genius. Did you see her face in court after? Completely destroyed. She'll never recover from that. Christina laughing. "I still can't believe you actually did it." Victor. "She needed to understand what happens when you defy me." At the bottom of the email, Marcus had written one sentence. "Grandma, is this the kind of evidence you mean? I have more if you need it. I love you. I love Mama. Please get me out of here." Gloria forwarded the email to Agent Foster. Then she called Dr. Owens. Patricia, it's Gloria. I need you to file an emergency petition with family court. I'm sending you evidence that Marcus is being psychologically harmed in Victor's custody. What kind of evidence? The kind that proves Victor is using that child as a weapon, and the kind that proves Marcus is terrified. Send it now. I'll file first thing tomorrow. You've stayed through heartbreak, betrayal, and the darkest hour. Now you're here for the turn. If this story has touched something in you, if you believe truth still matters, subscribe. The final battle is coming. Let's finish this together. The trial began on a cold Tuesday in November. Denise sat in the gallery between Gloria and Dr. Owens, hands folded in her lap, watching 12 jurors file into the courtroom. Victor sat at the defense table flanked by 4 lawyers. He wore a Navy suit. His face was composed, confident. He still believed he'd win. The prosecution's opening statement was surgical. Victor Hartwell is not a successful businessman. He is a criminal who used real estate as a cover for decades of fraud. The evidence will show that he systematically defrauded banks, investors, and the United States government of over $47 million. The prosecutor clicked a remote. A slide appeared showing wire transfers to offshore accounts. You will see documents signed by Mr. Hartwell authorizing these transfers. You will hear testimony from his own accountant warning him these transactions were illegal. You will see emails where he instructed employees to destroy evidence. Another slide. The fake death call. And you will hear how Mr. Hartwell weaponized psychological torture against his ex-wife, orchestrating a fake death notification to destroy her credibility before she could expose his crimes. The prosecutor turned to the jury. This is not a complicated case. It's a case about a powerful man who believed rules didn't apply to him. Your job is to prove him wrong. The prosecution's case took 3 weeks. Agent Foster testified about the offshore accounts, the hidden income, the falsified tax returns. Mr. Davis, the contractor from Part 4, testified about the inflated appraisals and bribes. Rachel, Gloria's contact who'd provided database access, testified as a forensic accountant, walking the jury through every fraudulent transaction. Catherine Holt testified about her investigation, providing context for the public record. Dr. Owens testified about the psychological abuse and parental alienation. And then came the recordings. Marcus Jr.'s voice memos were played in open court. The jury heard Victor laugh about the fake death call, heard him instruct his lawyer to bury evidence, heard him tell Christina that Denise deserved everything she got. Several jurors looked sick. Victor's face remained blank, but his hands clenched under the table. Finally, Gloria took the stand. She walked slowly. Her lupus was visible now. The tremors, the careful movements, the exhaustion etched into her face. The prosecutor approached gently. Ms. Tanner, can you explain how you became involved in this investigation? Gloria's voice was steady despite her body's weakness. My daughter came to my door broken, discarded, told she was worthless. I couldn't let that stand. So you began investigating Mr. Hartwell's finances? I did. I'm a forensic accountant by training. I know how to follow money. The prosecutor showed her a document. Is this the first piece of evidence you found? Gloria looked at it. Yes. A property appraisal that didn't match the tax assessment. That's when I knew he'd been lying about more than just his marriage. And you continued investigating despite your terminal illness? Objection, Victor's lawyer stood. Relevance. Your Honor, it goes to the witness's credibility and motivation, the prosecutor said. I'll allow it. Gloria looked directly at the jury. I have lupus. Stage 3. My kidneys are failing. I was diagnosed 2 years ago. The doctor said I might have 5 years. She paused. But I'd rather spend 1 year making sure my daughter gets justice than 5 years watching her suffer in silence. Several jurors wiped their eyes. Victor's lawyer stood for cross-examination. Ms. Tanner, isn't it true that you obtained some of this evidence through illegal means? Gloria met his eyes calmly. I called in favors from colleagues. I accessed databases I'd been trained to use during my career. Some of those accesses may have violated terms of service agreements. So you broke the law? I bent rules to expose crimes. Yes. And you expect this jury to trust evidence obtained illegally? Agent Foster's testimony already established that we independently verified every transaction Ms. Tanner documented. Every offshore account, every falsified appraisal, every hidden payment. All of it was corroborated through legal subpoenas. She leaned forward slightly. I didn't fabricate evidence. I found it. The FBI confirmed it. Your client committed the crimes. I just made sure someone noticed. The lawyer tried a different approach. You hate my client, don't you? I hate what he did to my daughter. Yes. And that hatred motivated you to destroy him. Gloria's smile was thin. No. His crimes motivated me to expose him. There's a difference. The cross-examination continued for an hour, but Gloria didn't break. When she stepped down, Denise helped her back to her seat. You did so good, Mama, Denise whispered. Gloria's hands were shaking badly now. I'm tired, baby. I know. Just a little longer. Victor's defense was predictable. His lawyers argued the transactions were legitimate business expenses, that his accountants had made mistakes, that he'd relied on professional advice. They called character witnesses who spoke about his philanthropy, his community involvement, his dedication to his son, but they couldn't explain the recordings, couldn't explain the emails about destroying evidence, couldn't explain why his mistakes always benefited him financially. On the final day, Victor took the stand. He was polished, sympathetic. He admitted to errors in judgment, but maintained he'd never intentionally broken the law. Then the prosecutor played the recording one more time. Victor's voice, the fake death call, was genius. Did you see her face in court after? Completely destroyed. Mr. Hartwell, the prosecutor said quietly. Is that your voice? Victor's jaw tightened. Yes. Admitting that you orchestrated a fake death notification to psychologically torture your ex-wife. I was venting. I didn't actually. The prosecutor played another clip. Christina, I still can't believe you actually did it. Victor, she needed to understand what happens when you defy me. Still just venting? Victor said nothing. Your Honor, no further questions. The jury deliberated for 7 hours. Gloria sat in the hallway, head resting on Denise's shoulder, too exhausted to sit up straight. Agent Foster approached. Ms. Tanner, regardless of the verdict, you should know, you built the foundation for this case. Without your work, we wouldn't be here. Will it be enough? Gloria asked. The evidence is overwhelming. If they're deliberating this long, they're being thorough. That's good. At 4:47 p.m., the jury sent word. They'd reached a verdict. The courtroom filled. Victor sat rigid at the defense table. Christina wasn't there. She'd stopped attending after week 2. The judge entered. Has the jury reached a verdict? The foreman stood. We have, Your Honor. On the count of tax evasion, how do you find? Guilty. Denise grabbed Gloria's hand. On the count of bank fraud. Guilty. On the count of investor fraud. Guilty. On the count of money laundering. Guilty. On the count of witness intimidation. Guilty. All 16 counts. Guilty on every single one. Victor's face went pale. His lawyer put a hand on his shoulder, but Victor shrugged it off. The judge set sentencing for 3 weeks later. As Victor was led from the courtroom in handcuffs, bail revoked due to flight risk, he passed Gloria's seat. He stopped, looked at her. She looked back. Steady, unflinching. You did this, he said quietly. No, Gloria replied. You did this 30 years ago. I just made sure someone finally saw it. He was led away. Gloria collapsed into Denise's arms. We won, Mama, Denise sobbed. We won. We did, baby. We did. 3 weeks later, sentencing day. Gloria was in a wheelchair now. The lupus had accelerated. She couldn't walk more than a few steps without exhausting herself. But she was there. The judge reviewed the pre-sentencing report. Looked at Victor. Mr. Hartwell, you committed crimes spanning 2 decades. You defrauded investors, banks, and the government. You intimidated witnesses. You weaponized your wealth to harm those who threatened your facade. He paused. The sentencing guidelines recommend 20 to 30 years. Given the scope of your crimes and your complete lack of remorse, I'm sentencing you to 34 years in federal prison. Victor was 62 years old. He would die in prison. As he was led away, he looked back one final time. Gloria was smiling. That afternoon, Dr. Owens called. Denise? The emergency custody petition was granted. Marcus is being released to your custody effective immediately. Denise's legs went weak. What? The recordings were enough. The judge ruled that Victor used Marcus as a weapon and that continued custody would cause psychological harm. You're getting your son back. Denise dropped the phone, turned to her mother. I'm getting Marcus back. Today. Right now. Gloria's smile was radiant despite her exhaustion. Then let's go get him, baby. Marcus Jr. ran to his mother the moment he saw her. No hesitation. No uncertainty. Just a boy who'd been waiting months to come home. Denise dropped to her knees and held him like she'd never let go. I'm sorry, Mama. Marcus sobbed into her shoulder. I'm sorry I couldn't stop him. I tried to record everything like Grandma taught me. Show, baby. You were so brave. So smart. You saved us. Gloria watched from her wheelchair, tears streaming down her face. Marcus pulled back from his mother, ran to Gloria, climbed into her lap despite being almost too big. I love you, Grandma. I love you too, sweetheart. Gloria's voice cracked. You did such a good job. I'm so proud of you. They went home to Gloria's apartment, all three of them together for the first time in months. That night, Marcus slept between his mother and grandmother on the pull-out couch, holding both their hands. Safe. Finally safe. 6 months later, Christina Vance was arrested at a spa in Miami. The fake death call was traced back to a phone she'd purchased. Text messages showed she'd helped plan the psychological torture. She pled guilty to conspiracy and witness intimidation. Sentence: 9 years in federal prison. At 29, she'd be 38 when released, the same age Denise had been when Victor threw her out. The woman who'd laughed while wearing Denise's robe would spend nearly a decade considering that moment. 1 year later, Gloria's condition deteriorated faster than anyone expected. The stress of the trial had accelerated the lupus. Her kidneys were failing completely now. She was on dialysis 3 times a week. She'd lost 40 pounds. She slept most of the day, but she was still fighting. She'd used the media attention to launch the Gloria Tanner Foundation, providing forensic accounting resources and legal support for women whose husbands weaponized wealth against them. Donations poured in. Lawyers volunteered their time. Accountants offered pro bono services. In its first year, the foundation helped 37 women escape financially abusive marriages. Gloria ran it from her laptop, from her bed, with Denise's help. Mama, you need to rest, Denise said one afternoon. I am resting. I'm just resting while working. Gloria's smile was weak but genuine. A publisher had offered her a book deal. She'd spent 6 months writing her memoir between dialysis sessions. No man will want you. How my daughter and I proved him wrong. It was published in hardcover on a Tuesday. By Friday, it was a bestseller. Gloria appeared on morning shows, frail but radiant, telling their story. Do you regret spending your final years fighting instead of resting? An interviewer asked. Gloria's answer was immediate. Peace isn't the absence of fight. Peace is knowing you didn't let someone destroy the people you love. I would do it again. Every moment. The clip went viral. Millions of women shared it, commented, told their own stories of men who'd called them worthless, used up, nothing. Gloria became a symbol, not of revenge, of love that fights back. 18 months after the trial, Denise rebuilt her legal career. She specialized in representing women escaping financial abuse. She worked closely with the foundation her mother built. She won case after case, helping women untangle prenuptial agreements designed to trap them, exposing hidden assets, proving coercive control. She became one of the most sought-after family law attorneys in the state. And she did it all while raising Marcus as a single mother. Marcus thrived. He was in therapy, processing the trauma, but he was healing. He talked about his father sometimes, the good memories and the bad ones. I wish Dad had been different, he told Denise one night. I know, baby. Me too. But I'm glad I have you. And Grandma. Denise kissed his forehead. We're glad we have you too. 2 years after the trial, Gloria's health took a final turn. The doctors said weeks, maybe days. She came home from the hospital on a Tuesday. Hospice nurses came twice daily. Denise took leave from work. Marcus stayed home from school. They spent every moment with her. On her final Friday, Gloria was lucid and calm. I need to tell you both something, she said, voice barely above a whisper. Denise and Marcus leaned close. I'm not afraid. I'm not sad. I got to see you both safe. I got to watch Marcus come home. I got to watch you rebuild, Denise. She took their hands. I got to matter. That's all anyone really wants. To know their life meant something. Tears streamed down Denise's face. Mama, you saved me. You saved us. And you gave me a reason to fight. Gloria's smile was gentle. I love you both so much. We love you too, Grandma, Marcus whispered. Gloria closed her eyes. 2 hours later, she slipped away, peaceful, surrounded by love, victorious. 300 people attended. Women she'd helped through the foundation, colleagues from her accounting days, journalists who'd told her story, strangers who'd read her book and felt seen. Denise delivered the eulogy. My mother saved my life twice. Once when she raised me alone, working 3 jobs to give me opportunities. And again when she refused to let a cruel man erase me. Her voice broke. She was sick. She was tired. She had every reason to rest. Instead, she fought harder than anyone I've ever known. She looked out at the crowd. Victor Hartwell called me used up. He said no man would want me. He said I was nothing without him. She paused. My mother proved him wrong. And now, every woman my foundation helps proves him wrong again. And again. And again. Her voice strengthened. That's her legacy. Not revenge. Love that refuses to let cruelty win. 5 years later, Victor Hartwell sat in federal prison, 67 years old, serving year 5 of his 34-year sentence. He'd aged badly. Gray hair, stooped shoulders. The arrogance burned away by monotony and powerlessness. He heard about Gloria's death through a news article someone left in the common room. The headline, Gloria Tanner, advocate for abused women, dies at 64. The article detailed her foundation, her book, her legacy. It mentioned that over 200 women had been helped in the 5 years since its founding. It included a quote from Denise. My mother taught me that being dismissed doesn't mean being defeated. That being called worthless doesn't make it true. That powerful men aren't untouchable. They're just unaccustomed to being held accountable. Victor read it twice. Then he requested compassionate leave to attend Gloria's funeral. Denied. He watched coverage of her memorial on the common room TV. Hundreds of people celebrating a woman he dismissed as that sick old woman. A woman who destroyed him from a 1-bedroom apartment with nothing but a laptop and unbreakable will. The segment ended. The guard changed the channel. Victor sat alone, surrounded by strangers, understanding the full weight of his sentence. He'd lost more than his freedom. He'd lost the chance to matter to anyone, ever again. 10 years later, Marcus Jr. graduated from law school. Top of his class. Full scholarship. Offers from prestigious firms. He chose to work for his mother's practice instead. I want to help people like Grandma helped us, he told Denise. On his first day, Denise gave him a gift. Gloria's laptop. The one she'd used to build the case against Victor. She wanted you to have this, Denise said. She always said you were the bravest of all of us. Marcus opened it. The files were still there. All the evidence. All the work. And one final document. A letter. Addressed to him. My dear Marcus, if you're reading this, I'm gone. But I need you to know something. You saved your mother. Those recordings you made. That courage you showed. That's what turned the tide. You were 8 years old, and you chose truth over fear. You chose your mother over comfort. You chose right over easy. Never forget that. The world will try to tell you that power comes from money, from status, from control. But real power comes from standing up when it would be easier to stay silent. I love you. I'm proud of you. And I know you're going to change lives. Love, Grandma Gloria. Marcus read it 3 times. Then he got to work. 15 years later, the Gloria Tanner Foundation had helped over 1,000 women. Denise ran it full-time now. Marcus worked alongside her. They'd expanded to 5 states. Trained 50 volunteer attorneys. Employed a dozen forensic accountants. And every single woman who walked through their doors heard the same thing. You are not used up. You are not worthless. You are not nothing. A woman who loved fiercely proved that. And we're going to prove it again with you. Somewhere in federal prison, Victor Hartwell, now 77 years old, 20 years into his sentence, woke to another identical day. Gray walls, fluorescent lights, the same faces, the same food, the same crushing insignificance. He had 14 years left. If he lived that long, he wouldn't. But even if he did, he'd leave prison an old man with no money, no reputation, no family. His son wouldn't speak to him. Hadn't in 15 years. Christina had been released 3 years ago. She'd moved to another state, changed her name, never contacted him. Every business partner had abandoned him. Every friend had forgotten him. He was a cautionary tale, a footnote, a name people barely remembered. Meanwhile, Gloria's name lived on, in a foundation that bore her name, in a book that still sold thousands of copies each year, in the lives of women who found strength in her story. Victor had wanted to be remembered as a titan, powerful, untouchable. Instead, he'd be remembered, if at all, as the man Gloria Tanner destroyed. And in the end, that was exactly what he deserved. If you're still here, heart full and eyes wet, thank you. Thank you for trusting me with 2 hours of your life. Here's my question for you. Have you ever loved someone who made you feel small? Have you ever been told you were too much or not enough? Have you ever had to choose between safety and truth? Tell me in the comments. I read every one. Remember what I said about my mom? About proving her wrong? If this story touched something in you that felt untouchable, subscribe. Not just for me, but for the person scrolling tonight, heartbroken and desperate for proof they'll survive. You could be the reason they find this. One more thing, where did you watch this from? Drop your city below. I love seeing how far these stories travel. Until the next one, take care of your heart.